Why does the sound of, say, a wave crashing feel so different from traffic noise?
Hmm.
Or how can one song just melt your stress away while another sound makes you jumpy?
Yeah, it's fascinating. And you sent over this amazing pile of sources looking right at that connection, sound, music, and our inner state.
Yeah.
Stress, peace, all of it.
We really dug into them, didn't we?
We did. Everything from, the simple sounds of nature, specific musical frequencies, to these more intentional things like sound baths, binaural beats.
Even those noise colors and the surprising link someone drew between color vibration and healing.
Right. It's a lot to unpack.
So our mission here for this deep dive is to sift through all that, pull out the really compelling bits.
The actionable stuff.
Exactly. How you can potentially use sound and music, maybe starting today, to feel less stressed, find a bit more inner peace.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get into it.
Okay, so it feels really intuitive, doesn't it? Certain sounds just feel good or bad. But scientifically, how does it actually work? What's going on inside us?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting looking at these sources. Sound isn't just auditory information. It gets deep into our physiology.
How so?
The research points to impacts on our main stress systems. For instance, the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis.
That's like the body's stress command center, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And sound seems to influence it. It also affects the autonomous nervous system. Specifically, it looks like it can dial down the sympathetic activity.
That fight or flight mode.
Exactly, the state that keeps you sort of hyper alert, ready to react. So less of that.
Less hyper alert sounds good to me. And these aren't just feelings, are they? The sources mentioned actual measurable changes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're talking potential decreases in cortisol. That's a key stress hormone. And also observed reductions in things like heart rate, blood pressure, real physical shifts.
Wow. And what about brainwaves? I saw something about that.
Yes, that's another big piece. Certain sounds, especially music with slower tempos or lower frequencies, seem to help synchronize your brain waves.
Synchronize, like guide them.
Kind of, yeah. Nudge them towards states like alpha, which is around 814 hertz, associated with being relaxed but awake.
Okay.
Or even delta, which is deeper, around 5 hertz, linked to deep sleep.
Ah, so it can actually help with sleep, too.
It seems so. One source suggested you might need about, say, 45 minutes of calming music to really help the brain shift into that sleep-conducive state.
45 minutes. That's helpful to know. It's like giving your brain a runway to slow down.
Exactly. And, there was even this fascinating mention of oxytocin.
The love hormone, how does that fit in?
Well, it's also really involved in managing stress and social bonding. And one source suggested that certain frequencies, they mentioned 528 hertz, music specifically, might actually increase oxytocin levels.
Interesting. So it's interacting with our hormones in complex ways.
It really seems to be. It shows how sound isn't just processed by our ears, it's interacting with our whole neurochemical system.
So it's a whole body experience then.
Yeah.
Hormones, blood pressure, brain waves.
Absolutely. Which leads to the next question, right? If it has these real effects, what kinds of sounds are we talking about? Is it complicated or can it be simple?
Like just going outside.
Both, really. The sources cover a range. Let's start with the most accessible nature sounds.
Ah, yes. Birdsong, waves, always feel good.
And the research confirms that feeling. Sounds like forests, birds, oceans, waterfalls. They aren't just nice to listen to. They're perceived as way more pleasant than, say, traffic or machine noise.
Okay, more pleasant. That makes sense. But do they do more?
Yes, significantly. They're linked to actual health improvements, lowering stress, boosting mood, and even sharpening cognitive performance.
Really? Cognitive performance, too?
Yeah. Some specifics mentioned were bird songs being particularly good for easing stress. While water sounds, like waves or streams, might help your body recover faster from that sympathetic nervous system on state. Helps you shake off the stress.
And you mentioned focus. Better than city noise.
Compared to urban sounds, yes, they seem to help improve attention. There's even this intriguing idea floated that regular exposure might subtly rewire brain connections to make us less reactive, less prone to that fight or flight trigger.
Wow. That's quite profound. And the best part,
They're often free. Just step outside, open a window, find a park.
easy enough. Okay, what about music? That's a huge area.
Huge. And the sources explore it from different angles. Slower tempos generally help quiet the mind, relax muscles. Makes sense.
Sure.
Upbeat music can lift your mood, make you feel more optimistic.
Also makes sense. Anything specific about tempo?
Yeah, there was research pointing to music around 60 beats per minute. That tempo seems particularly good at helping synchronize brain waves towards a relaxed alpha-like state.
60 BPM, sort of a resting heart rate tempo. Calm.
Exactly, a restful pace.
Okay.
One thing that jumped out was a source mentioning the effectiveness of Native Americans, Celtic, and Indian stringed instruments, drums, flutes, even at moderate volume.
Oh, interesting. Specific cultural traditions. Why those, do you think?
It wasn't fully explained, but it makes you wonder about the specific resonant qualities, the instrumentation, the history embedded in those sounds.
But is it always about the type of music? Or is it more personal? I mean, some relaxation music drives me nuts.
That is such a critical point,
Yeah.
and the sources really hammered it home.
Yeah.
Personal preference is key.
Right.
If you force yourself to listen to something labeled calming, but you find it annoying, you're just creating tension. It has to resonate with you.
So find your calm music, not someone else's definition of it.
Precisely. Some studies even found that benefits showed up across different genres,
Yeah.
suggesting it's more about your individual connection to the music.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Noise colors. White noise. Okay, I get that one. But pink, brown. What's that about?
Right, so noise colors are basically different ways the sound frequencies are spread out. White noise at that classic shh sound, all audible frequencies mixed together pretty equally.
And what's it good for?
Its main strength seems to be masking other sounds, especially disruptive ones. It's described as like boring but calming, good for quieting a racing mind, maybe as a cue for a sleep routine,
Mm-hmm.
aiding focus, soothing babies, creating privacy, even helping with tinnitus.
Okay. And pink and brown, how are they different?
Pink noise is deeper than white noise, more like steady rainfall. The lower frequencies are a bit louder. Brown noise is even deeper, like a strong wind or a distant thunderstorm rumble.
Deeper sounds. Any advantage to those?
Well, one source suggested pink noise might actually be better for promoting restful sleep for some people compared to white noise, potentially more soothing.
Interesting. So white for masking, maybe pink or brown for deeper relaxation or sleep?
That seems to be the idea highlighted. Oh, and there's blue noise too, higher pitched, less common, but sometimes used.
Okay. But with any of these, especially for sleep, I imagine there are warnings.
Yes, a crucial caution came up regarding volume.
Right. Hearing safety.
Absolutely. Prolonged exposure to loud sounds is damaging. Sources reminded us about guidelines like the NAOISH 85 decibel limit for extended periods.
And for sleep sounds, is there a recommended level?
No official guideline, but one study mentioned around 46 dB seemed to help sleep. The main takeaway is keep the volume low, comfortable, especially if it's on all night, or for kids.
Good reminder, don't trade sleep for hearing loss.
Exactly. And another point raised was potential dependency.
Ah, like you can't sleep without it.
Yeah. So maybe alternating sounds or taking nights off might be a good idea just to avoid feeling reliant on it.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got nature, music, noise colors. What about more sort of intentional sound techniques? The sources mention things like sound baths.
Right, this is where sound gets used in more specific, almost therapeutic ways. Sound baths are a great example.
What actually happens in one?
Typically, you lie down, get comfortable, and just listen as someone plays instruments like Tibetan singing bowls, gongs, chimes, maybe tuning forks. It's an immersive listening experience.
And how does just listening to bowls help? What's the idea?
The sources explain it on a couple of levels. Physically, the sound waves create vibrations. You don't just hear them, you can often feel them resonating in your body.
Ah, resonance.
Exactly. This physical vibration is thought to help release tension, promote deep relaxation, maybe even stimulate circulation. And the low frequencies, particularly from gongs, might encourage brainwave entrainment.
Like we talked about earlier, guiding the brain towards calmer state.
Precisely. Towards meditative states, alpha, or even theta.
So it's physical and mental.
And emotional, too. The sources talk about calming the mind, reducing stress by fostering present moment awareness, strengthening that mind-body connection, and sometimes helping release emotional blockages. It's viewed as quite holistic body, mind, spirit.
Okay, that sounds quite immersive. What about binaural beats? That sounds more technical.
It is a bit more technical. Binaural beats are interesting. They're actually an auditory illusion created in your brain.
An illusion.
You need headphones. One ear gets one frequency, say 440 hertz. The other ear gets a slightly different one, maybe 450 hertz. Your brain then perceives the third frequency, which is the difference between the two.
So in that case, 10 hertz.
Exactly. 10 hertz, which falls right into the alpha brainwave range. So the beat isn't actually in the recording. Your brain creates it.
That's wild. Do they work? What did the sources say?
The findings were, well, A bit mixed, actually. One study showed a really significant drop in anxiety for patients right before surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like a 26% reduction with binaural beats, compared to about 11% with music and only 4% with no audio. That suggests real potential in high-stress situations.
That's a big difference.
It is. But then, another study using EEG brain scans found something different. It showed that while binaural beats did affect brain activity, something called monaural beats.
Monaural.
Yeah, where the two frequencies are mixed before reaching the ear, creating an actual physical pulse. Those triggers stronger brain responses. And crucially, in their calm lab setting, neither type significantly changed mood or anxiety levels.
Huh. So one study shows a big effect under stress. Another shows not much effect when people are already calm.
Exactly. Which really suggests, as the sources hinted, that their effectiveness might depend heavily on the context, your current state, maybe the individual.
Right, they're not some magic bullet, maybe more situational.
Seems likely. More research is definitely needed. They're not a cure-all, and the effects might be subtle for many people.
Good to know. It connects back to that idea of vibration, though. One source linked sound vibration to color vibration. How did that work?
Ah, yes, the chromotherapy connection. The idea presented there was that vibration itself is fundamental, whether it's the frequency of sound or the frequency of light, which we perceive as color.
Okay.
That source talked about subtle energy bodies, auras, meridians, chakras, as one way to understand how these vibrations might influence us. Kind of like how the physical vibrations of a sound bath affect the physical body.
So different frequencies resonate with different aspects of our being, maybe physically or energetically.
That's the perspective offered, yes. They gave a case study example using specific color vibrations. Red for grounding, yellow for confidence, blue for calm, and linked that to improvements in sleep, confidence, and reduced anxiety in that person.
Interesting. Just illustrating how frequencies, sound or light, might have targeted effects.
Exactly. It's another layer to consider in how these things might work.
So we've talked about actively using sound, nature, music, specific techniques, but can we also benefit just by paying attention differently to the sounds already around us?
Absolutely. That was a really powerful point from one source. Turning everyday sounds into a mindfulness practice.
Mindfulness of sound, even like annoying sounds. Construction noise.
Especially the annoying sounds. The core idea is that any sound can be an object of focus, just like your breath or body sensations.
How does that work? Sound seems so persistent.
But think about it. Sounds appear, exist for a moment, and then they vanish. They leave no trace, much like thoughts when you observe them.
Okay. But the annoyance feels pretty real when my neighbor's dog is barking.
Right. But here's the key insight the source emphasized. The annoyance isn't actually in the sound waves themselves. It's in our interpretation, our judgment of the sound as bad or unwanted.
It's our reaction.
Exactly. Mindfulness practice helps shift that relationship. Instead of automatically reacting with aversion, I hate that sound, you cultivate curiosity. You just notice the sound arising, being present, and passing away.
Without getting hooked by the story about it?
Precisely. Yeah. And over time, this lessens the sound's power to disturb you.
How would you actually practice that?
The source suggested starting simply. Maybe focus on your breath first, get grounded. Then widen your awareness to include sensations in your body.
Okay.
Then expand again to the whole field of hearing. You're not trying to hear anything specific, you're just being aware that hearing is happening. Receptive.
And when the mind starts complaining about the sounds?
You just notice that. Notice the thoughts, the judgments, the stories, and gently, kindly guide your attention back to simply hearing, the raw sensation of sound, appearing and disappearing.
That sounds incredibly useful, actually, especially living in a noisy world.
It really is. It reframes potential stressors as opportunities for practice.
This has all been incredibly positive and promising. But are there times when we need to be careful, particularly with things like sound baths or maybe intense frequencies?
Yes, absolutely. And the sources were very clear about this. It's crucial information.
What's the general advice?
The general advice is always, if you have a serious physical or mental health condition, if you're pregnant, or taking significant medications, talk to your doctor before trying new therapies. That includes sound healing.
Makes sense. Common sense, really. Were there specific conditions listed where things like sound baths are definitely not recommended?
Yes, there were specific contraindications mentioned. Sound baths, for example, are generally considered not suitable if you have deep vein thrombosis.
Because of clots.
Exactly. The vibrations could potentially dislodge a clot. Also, not suitable over open wounds, areas of acute inflammation, known tumors, or recent unhealed surgical sites.
Okay, that seems logical. Avoid areas that are actively inflamed, healing, or compromised.
Right. Also, pacemakers or defibrillators, sound therapy shouldn't be done right on or near the device.
Interference risk.
Yes. And epilepsy was also listed, as certain sounds or intensities could potentially be a trigger for seizures in susceptible individuals.
Definitely critical to know about triggers. What about conditions where you should check with a doctor first? Maybe not a hard no, but a definite consult.
There's a list for that too.
Mhm.
Consulting your doctor is strongly advised if you've had whiplash. They suggested waiting at least 3 days post-treatment. Also, if you have metallic implants.
Like pins or joint replacement?
Yes, especially if the sound therapy is near the implant, as vibrations could cause discomfort or potentially interfere.
Okay, what else?
Carotid stenosis, artificial heart valves, known cardiac arrhythmias if you have a stent or a shunt, or deep brain stimulation devices, DBS.
So quite a few cardiovascular conditions and implanted devices require caution.
Definitely. The sources also noted avoiding areas near inflamed juncts or veins, inflammatory skin issues like weeping eczema or diseased veins. It's really about being informed and prioritizing safety.
Absolutely. Discussing your health history is key.
Always.
So wrapping this up, we've covered a lot, from just listening to birds outside to finding music that genuinely relaxes you, experimenting with white or pink noise, maybe trying an immersive sound bath, exploring binaural beats cautiously.
Or even just changing how you relate to the sounds already around you through mindfulness.
Yeah. The sources show there are just so many ways sound can potentially dial down stress and help us find a bit more peace.
And the range is impressive, isn't it? Something for almost everyone.
And like we said, many are so accessible. Nature is free, you likely own music you love. Mindfulness just requires attention.
Right, the barrier to entry can be really low for many of these.
This whole deep dive really highlights how profoundly sound affects us physically and mentally, much more than maybe we consciously realize day to day.
It really makes you listen differently, doesn't it?
It does, and it leaves you with a thought, maybe. With all the sounds in your world, what's one sound, maybe a simple one, that could be the key to unlocking a bit more calm for you today.